The Star Wars Expanded Universe is back. Well, this probably doesn't make much sense right now, but hear me out. Everyone's talking about Marvel, DC Comics, or even Harry Potter, but honestly, I think it's time we stop neglecting the best saga ever created, that is Star Wars. Yup, I said what I said. I don't know if you've noticed, but something pretty crazy is cooking up right now in the most legendary intergalactic universe in the history of cinema. Star Trek fans, I'm sorry. The third season of The Mandalorian just ended. A beautiful conclusion for a totally epic show that fans absolutely loved. Not only it was its direction, but also its openness to the expanded universe of Star Wars. And yes, I said expanded universe. How many is still with me? A couple of decades ago, by the end of the three first Star Wars films, a lot of related projects came out. Fans absolutely loved Star Wars, the universe, Luke Skywalker's journey, so a lot of authors started to work on books, comic books, video games, telling new stories. Even after when the prequel movies came out, so many projects were created. Projects that form the expanded universe. Books about Han Solo's childhood, but also comic books about more adventure with Luke. Speaking of, at some point in the comic books, Luke becomes a Sith Lord. There was a clone situation going on, but there's also stories about completely made-up characters that were not in the films, like Grand Admiral Thrawn. And I especially want to talk about this dude because yeah, he's very important. If you watch the second and third season of The Mandalorian, you already heard that name. And there's a reason for that. Yup, he comes from the expanded universe. It was first introduced in a series of novels and then in comic books. Thrawn was a very important character in the expanded universe. Except that when Disney bought the rights to Star Wars, they made a very ugly announcement. The expanded universe was no more. The only universe in Star Wars was just the films. And it was a pretty traumatizing experience for the fans, especially since, let's be honest, some of the stuff that was going on in the expanded universe was so much better than the actual Star Wars films.
You have to know when you're working on a Star Wars movie, you can't write for the fans because there isn't one kind of fan. And if you're writing for one kind of fan, you know, it doesn't matter really because another kind of fan is not going to be satisfied. So you have to write for yourself. So I think that I agree with Ryan. And anytime you start to work on something thinking this is what they will like, you're screwed because it's just, you have to go with the thing that you believe in and, you know, and be true to that first and foremost.
So now the new Star Wars universe only includes the first 6 films and then the last 3, Rogue One, the film Solo, that was not good, but also the animated series Star Wars The Clone Wars. The show didn't really have a good start, but then it became a lot better when someone showed up, Dave Filoni. This guy used to work for Nickelodeon, but he always had been like the #1 fan of Star Wars. He knows everything about the Star Wars universe and the expanded universe. So he was in charge of that series, The Clone Wars. And he started to add elements of the expanded universe into the series. Later, he's gonna develop another animated series called Star Wars Rebels, which is, to me, the best Star Wars show ever. Probably the best Star Wars stuff ever. Like, when it comes to Star Wars, Rebels is the masterpiece. The characters, the story, the references, it's amazing. And to make the show even better, they brought back Admiral Thrawn. Yes, he's in the show. But it still belonged to the animated world, right? And I'm not gonna spoil you because it's available on Disney+, but at some point in the show, he disappears. Thrawn disappears along with another character named Ezra. So when AHSOKA, a character from the series of Clone Wars, appears in the Mandalorian show and announces the return of Thrawn, who's from the Rebels, but before from the expanded universe in the novels, that only means one thing. The expanded universe is back in Star Wars. Yes, it is, baby. So now I'm sure you understand what it means. The films, the series will be interconnected. And most importantly, the characters from the series will be able to reunite in the films and vice versa. It's almost like Star Wars is creating its own Star Wars cinematic universe. Just like Marvel created the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. And it's funny because both belong to Disney now. So Disney understood what the fans wanted: connection. Links between the characters, links between the films and the series, and why not video games eventually. Anyways, let's stop this video right here because just like Captain America used to say, I could do this all day. Alright, I'm Terry LTAM. I hope you guys liked this video. I'll see you next week. Until then, watch some good shows and good films. Peace.